Starting a new life can be one of the most daunting and transformative challenges we face. Whether it's stepping into a new career, moving to a different city, or embarking on a personal reinvention, the journey can be filled with uncertainty and self-doubt. But it can also be filled with immense growth and joy if we approach it with courage, self-compassion, and vulnerability. Starting a new life is an act of immense courage, and at the heart of this transformative journey lies vulnerability. To embrace vulnerability is to step into the unknown, to expose ourselves to the risk of failure, rejection, and uncertainty. Yet, as Brené Brown has taught us through her groundbreaking research, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, it is the birthplace of courage, connection, and creativity. It is the foundation upon which we build meaningful relationships, find our true selves, and ultimately create a life worth living. When we begin again, we often feel the weight of fear and self-doubt. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if others judge me? These are natural questions, but they stem from a misunderstanding of vulnerability. Vulnerability isn't about being fearless, it's about showing up even when we are afraid. It's about standing in the arena, as Brené often says, knowing we might stumble or fall but choosing to engage anyway because that's where growth and transformation happen. One of the most profound truths about vulnerability is that it allows us to connect with others on a deeply human level. Starting a new life often means building new relationships, whether personally or professionally. True connection is born not from presenting a flawless version of ourselves, but from being authentic, sharing our struggles, fears, and hopes. When we allow ourselves to be seen as we are, we invite others to do the same. It's in this mutual openness that trust and understanding flourish. Vulnerability then becomes the bridge that unites us with others and provides the support we need to navigate new beginnings. However, embracing vulnerability is not easy. We live in a world that often equates vulnerability with weakness, a world that tells us to keep our guard up and protect ourselves at all costs. This cultural narrative can make us hesitant to take risks or open ourselves up to new possibilities. Yet, avoiding vulnerability comes at a significant cost. When we shield ourselves from discomfort, we also close ourselves off to joy, growth, and meaningful experiences. To embrace vulnerability is to reclaim our power. It's a declaration that we are willing to be seen, willing to try, and willing to fail if it means living a fuller, richer life. One of the most challenging aspects of vulnerability is learning to tolerate the discomfort that comes with it. Starting over often feels messy and uncertain, and it's tempting to retreat to the safety of what's familiar. But as Brené reminds us, vulnerability is the path to courage. It's the willingness to sit with uncertainty, to lean into the discomfort of not having all the answers, and to trust that we are capable of navigating the challenges ahead. Courage isn't about eliminating fear, it's about taking action despite it. Another critical aspect of vulnerability is self-compassion. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we inevitably make mistakes. We may face setbacks or encounter criticism, and it's easy to fall into the trap of self-judgment. But Brené emphasizes that vulnerability requires us to treat ourselves with kindness. It's about recognizing that imperfection is part of being human, and that our worth is not tied to our achievements. Self-compassion gives us the strength to pick ourselves up when we fall and to continue moving forward with an open heart. Finally, embracing vulnerability means embracing the possibility of transformation. Starting a new life is not just about external changes, it's about internal growth. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create space for authenticity. We learn to listen to our inner voice, to honor our needs and values, and to show up as our true selves. This authenticity becomes the foundation of a life that feels meaningful and aligned with who we are. To embrace vulnerability is to step into the unknown with courage, openness, and trust. It's a commitment to showing up, even when it's hard, and to living a life that is guided by authenticity and connection. In the words of Brené Brown, vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. Starting a new life requires us to lean into this truth, to take risks, and to embrace the beautiful, messy process of becoming. Letting go of perfectionism is one of the most liberating steps you can take when starting a new life. Perfectionism, as Brené Brown defines it, is not the same as striving for excellence or being thorough in your efforts. It's a defense mechanism, a way of trying to protect yourself from judgment, blame, or shame by doing everything just right. While it may seem like an admirable trait on the surface, perfectionism is ultimately a barrier to growth, creativity, and authentic connection. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of fear and self-criticism, preventing us from fully embracing the process of starting anew. When we start a new chapter in life, the temptation to strive for perfection can become especially strong. Whether it's a new job, a fresh relationship, or a move to an unfamiliar place, we often feel pressure to prove ourselves, to avoid making mistakes, and to present an image of competence and control. This pressure can stem from a fear of failure or rejection, a desire for approval, or even societal expectations that equate success with flawlessness. But the pursuit of perfection can be paralyzing. Instead of moving forward with curiosity and courage, we get stuck in overthinking, procrastination, and a constant fear of falling short. One of the most harmful aspects of perfectionism is the unrealistic standards it imposes. Perfectionists often set the bar so high that it becomes impossible to meet. This not only sets us up for disappointment, but also robs us of the joy and fulfillment that come from progress and effort. When perfection is the goal, nothing ever feels good enough. We become hyper-focused on what's missing or what could be better rather than appreciating what we've accomplished or learned. Over time, this mindset can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a sense of unworthiness. Letting go of perfectionism means learning to embrace imperfection as a natural and necessary part of life. It's about recognizing that mistakes and setbacks are not failures but opportunities for growth. When we start something new, we are bound to encounter challenges, make errors, and feel uncertain. These experiences are not signs that we're doing something wrong, they're signs that we're learning and stretching ourselves. Allowing room for imperfection creates a space where we can experiment, take risks, and discover what works for us. Another important aspect of letting go of perfectionism is shifting our focus from outcomes to effort. Perfectionists tend to measure their worth based on external achievements or how others perceive them. This external validation can become a trap, making us overly reliant on praise or approval to feel good about ourselves. To break free from this cycle, we need to cultivate an internal sense of worthiness that isn't tied to our accomplishments. Brené Brown reminds us that we are worthy simply because we are human, not because of what we achieve, how we perform, or how perfectly we live up to expectations. Self-compassion is a crucial tool in this process. Perfectionism often goes hand in hand with harsh self-criticism. When we fall short of our own impossible standards, we can be incredibly hard on ourselves, blaming or shaming ourselves for not being good enough. Letting go of perfectionism means replacing self-criticism with kindness. It means speaking to ourselves the way we would speak to a friend, offering understanding, encouragement, and grace. By treating ourselves with compassion, we build the resilience to keep going, even when things don't go as planned. Letting go of perfectionism also means embracing vulnerability. Perfectionism often serves as a shield to protect us from the discomfort of being seen as less than perfect. But true connection and growth come from authenticity, not perfection. When we allow ourselves to show up as we are flaws and all, we invite others to do the same. This authenticity fosters deeper relationships and helps us build a support system that sustains us through the challenges of starting a new life. Finally, letting go of perfectionism is an act of courage. It requires us to trust that we are enough, even when we don't have all the answers or when things don't go as planned. It's about embracing the messy, imperfect process of becoming, knowing that the journey is just as important as the destination. By releasing the need to be perfect, we free ourselves to take risks, explore new possibilities, and experience the fullness of life. In the words of Brené Brown, perfectionism is not the same thing as striving to be your best. Perfectionism is the belief that if we do things perfectly, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a shield. Letting go of that shield allows us to step into a new life with openness, self-acceptance, and the freedom to grow. It's not about being flawless, it's about being brave enough to be fully human. Cultivating self-compassion is a transformative practice, especially when starting a new life. It's a way of turning kindness inward, of treating ourselves with the same understanding and care that we would offer a dear friend. For many of us, the journey of starting fresh is fraught with self-doubt, fear, and the inevitable stumbles that come with navigating uncharted territory. In these moments, self-compassion becomes a lifeline, reminding us that we are worthy even in our struggles and empowering us to keep moving forward with courage and grace. Self-compassion, as defined by researcher Kristen Neff, consists of three key elements: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. These principles align beautifully with Brené Brown's teachings on vulnerability and authenticity, providing a framework for how we can extend grace to ourselves during times of change and growth. To cultivate self-compassion is to reject the harsh inner critic that tells us we're not good enough or that we've failed. Instead, it's about embracing our imperfections and honoring our efforts, no matter how small they may seem. One of the first steps in cultivating self-compassion is recognizing and quieting the inner critic. When starting a new life, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-judgment. We might compare ourselves to others, berating ourselves for not measuring up or fixating on past mistakes, letting them define us. This inner dialogue can be relentless and destructive, making us feel unworthy of success or happiness. Self-compassion invites us to interrupt this cycle by acknowledging our inner critic without letting it take control. Instead of criticizing ourselves for our perceived shortcomings, we can choose to respond with kindness and understanding. Imagine speaking to yourself the way you would speak to a close friend who is going through a tough time. If they stumbled or felt uncertain, you wouldn't tell them they're a failure or not good enough. You'd likely offer encouragement, remind them of their strengths, and reassure them that it's okay to struggle. Self-compassion asks us to extend that same kindness to ourselves. It's not about ignoring our challenges or excusing mistakes, but about responding to them in a way that is nurturing and supportive. Another vital aspect of self-compassion is recognizing our shared humanity. Often when we're struggling, we feel isolated, as if we're the only ones who face difficulties or fall short. This sense of isolation can deepen our pain and make us feel as though we're uniquely flawed. But the truth is, imperfection is a universal human experience. Everyone faces setbacks, makes mistakes, and encounters challenges. When we understand that our struggles are part of the human condition, we can approach them with more compassion and less judgment. We realize that we're not alone, and this connection can be a source of strength and comfort. Mindfulness, the third pillar of self-compassion, is about being present with our emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. When we're going through a tough time, it's easy to get caught up in negative feelings, letting them spiral into self-criticism or despair. Mindfulness encourages us to acknowledge our emotions as they are, without judgment or resistance. By staying present and accepting our feelings, we create space to respond to them with kindness and clarity. This practice helps us navigate the ups and downs of starting a new life with greater resilience. Self-compassion is not indulgent or selfish, it's an essential part of building resilience and fostering growth. When we're kind to ourselves, we're better equipped to take risks, try new things, and recover from setbacks. It creates a foundation of inner strength that allows us to approach life with openness and curiosity. Instead of being paralyzed by fear of failure, we can see mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow. Cultivating self-compassion also helps us build healthier relationships. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we model this behavior for others, fostering an environment of mutual support and understanding. It also reduces our need for external validation, allowing us to show up authentically in our connections with others. When we accept ourselves as we are, imperfections and all, we create space for others to do the same. Starting a new life is a brave and vulnerable endeavor, one that will inevitably include moments of doubt and difficulty. In these moments, self-compassion becomes a powerful tool for navigating the journey. It reminds us that we are enough even when things feel uncertain, and that our worth is not tied to our achievements or the approval of others. As Brené Brown often says, talk to yourself like you would to someone you love. In doing so, we not only nurture ourselves, but also create the conditions for a life that is rooted in authenticity, resilience, and joy. Self-compassion doesn't mean avoiding hard work or accountability. It means approaching both with a sense of kindness and balance. It's the belief that we deserve care and understanding even when we falter. And it's the realization that by extending compassion to ourselves, we cultivate the strength to embrace life's challenges and build something new. Building a support system is a vital step in starting a new life. No matter how resilient or independent we may feel, humans are inherently social beings. We thrive when we are connected to others who uplift, encourage, and walk alongside us through life's challenges. A support system isn't just about having people around, it's about creating a circle of trust and belonging, where we feel safe to be ourselves and find the strength to grow. In Brené Brown's words, true belonging doesn't require you to change who you are, it requires you to be who you are. Building a support system is about fostering relationships that allow for vulnerability, authenticity, and mutual care. Starting over often brings uncertainty, and it's easy to feel alone or overwhelmed. It's in these moments that a strong support system becomes a source of grounding and reassurance. This network can include family, friends, mentors, colleagues, or even support groups. The key is that these individuals share a willingness to listen, empathize, and provide constructive guidance without judgment. They are people who accept you as you are while encouraging you to grow into the best version of yourself. Creating a support system begins with identifying people who share your values and are genuinely invested in your well-being. Sometimes these are people already in your life, but starting fresh may also mean seeking out new connections. This might involve joining a community group, volunteering, attending professional meetups, or even participating in online forums or social networks centered around shared interests. Building new relationships can feel intimidating, especially if you've experienced hurt or disappointment in the past. However, vulnerability is essential in forming meaningful connections. By opening up and allowing others to see your true self, you create opportunities for genuine bonds to form. A critical component of a support system is mutuality. A healthy support system isn't one-sided, it involves a balance of giving and receiving. While it's important to have people who can support you, it's equally valuable to be a source of support for others. Offering a listening ear, celebrating someone's successes, or simply being present during a tough time strengthens relationships and fosters trust. This reciprocity creates a sense of shared purpose and reinforces the connection between you and those in your circle. Trust is the foundation of any strong support system. It develops over time and requires consistency, honesty, and respect. Building trust means being reliable, showing up for others when you say you will, and being open about your thoughts and feelings. It also involves respecting boundaries and recognizing that everyone in your support system has their own needs and limits. Trust is a two-way street, and nurturing it ensures that your relationships remain healthy and mutually beneficial. One of the challenges of building a support system is learning to discern who truly adds value to your life. Not everyone you meet will have your best interests at heart, and some relationships may drain rather than uplift you. It's important to surround yourself with people who celebrate your successes without envy, who provide honest feedback without criticism, and who are there in both good times and bad. Toxic relationships, on the other hand, can hinder your growth and diminish your sense of self-worth. Letting go of such connections can be difficult but necessary to create space for healthier relationships. Equally important is the diversity within your support system. Different people bring different strengths and perspectives to your life. A mentor might offer professional guidance, a friend might provide emotional support, and a family member might bring stability and a sense of home. By cultivating a diverse network, you ensure that you have access to a range of resources and insights to help you navigate the complexities of starting anew. Building a support system also involves self-awareness. You must understand your own needs and communicate them effectively to others. No one can read your mind, and being clear about how others can support you fosters stronger and more effective relationships. This might mean asking for help, which can feel vulnerable but is a necessary part of creating a support network. Brené Brown emphasizes that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. Allowing others to help you not only strengthens your connections but also demonstrates courage and trust. Finally, gratitude plays a powerful role in maintaining a support system. Expressing appreciation for the people who stand by you reinforces those bonds and encourages them to continue investing in the relationship. A simple thank you, a thoughtful note, or an act of kindness in return goes a long way in showing your appreciation. Building a support system is not just about finding people who can help you, it's about creating a community of care and connection. It's about surrounding yourself with those who inspire you, challenge you, and remind you of your worth. In starting a new life, your support system becomes your anchor, helping you navigate the unknown with courage and resilience. And in turn, your role within that system becomes a source of strength and purpose as you contribute to the growth and well-being of others. Together, you create a network of belonging that empowers everyone involved. Owning your story is one of the most empowering steps you can take when starting a new life. It's an act of self-acceptance, courage, and transformation that allows you to reclaim your narrative, embrace your truth, and shape your future with authenticity and intention. As Brené Brown puts it, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we will ever do. Your story, with all its highs and lows, joys and sorrows, is uniquely yours, and it holds the key to becoming who you truly are. Starting over often comes with a desire to leave the past behind. We may feel tempted to bury our mistakes, hide our vulnerabilities, or rewrite our history to fit a more polished version of ourselves. But denying or disowning parts of our story only keeps us stuck. The parts we suppress don't disappear, they continue to influence our choices, our relationships, and our sense of self. Owning your story means facing it honestly without judgment or shame. It's about acknowledging the full spectrum of your experiences, the triumphs and the setbacks, and finding meaning and growth in all of it. One of the first steps in owning your story is letting go of shame. Shame thrives in secrecy and silence, convincing us that our imperfections or failures make us unworthy of love and belonging. Brené Brown's research shows that the antidote to shame is vulnerability, sharing our stories with people who have earned the right to hear them. When we speak our truth, we take away shame's power and begin to see our experiences as part of the broader human condition. We realize that we are not alone in our struggles, and this connection helps us move forward with greater resilience. Owning your story also requires self-compassion. It's easy to be critical of ourselves when reflecting on past decisions or moments we wish had gone differently. We might focus on what we could have done better or blame ourselves for circumstances beyond our control. But self-compassion allows us to approach our story with kindness and understanding. It reminds us that we are human, that we've done the best we could with the knowledge and resources we had at the time. By forgiving ourselves and embracing our imperfections, we create space to grow and heal. Taking ownership of your story doesn't mean staying stuck in the past. It's not about reliving old wounds or dwelling on regrets. Instead, it's about integrating your past into your present in a way that empowers you. Your story becomes a foundation, not a prison. You get to decide how your experiences shape your identity and how they inform the person you want to become. This process is not about erasing or rewriting your past, it's about reclaiming it as part of your journey. When you own your story, you also reclaim your voice. Many of us have been conditioned to conform to societal expectations, to shrink ourselves to fit into roles that others have defined for us. Owning your story means breaking free from those constraints and speaking your truth. It's about being unapologetically yourself and living in alignment with your values and desires. This authenticity is both liberating and magnetic. It allows you to build relationships and opportunities that resonate with who you truly are. Another powerful aspect of owning your story is its potential to inspire and connect with others. When you share your experiences openly and authentically, you give others permission to do the same. Your courage becomes a beacon, showing others that it's possible to face life's challenges and emerge stronger. Your story, no matter how ordinary or extraordinary it may seem, has the power to make a difference. It can create connection, foster understanding, and help others feel less alone. Owning your story also involves setting boundaries. Not everyone will understand or appreciate your journey, and that's okay. You don't have to share every detail with everyone. What's important is that you take ownership for yourself, that you no longer allow others to define you or dictate your worth. Your story belongs to you, and you have the right to decide how and with whom you share it. Starting a new life often feels like turning the page to a fresh chapter. But the earlier chapters of your story still matter. They've shaped who you are and have given you the tools to create what comes next. By owning your story, you step into your power. You recognize that you are the author of your life, capable of creating a narrative that reflects your values, aspirations, and dreams. This act of ownership is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. It's a daily choice to show up as your authentic self, to honor your experiences, and to move forward with courage and intention. As Brené Brown says, when we deny the story, it defines us. When we own the story, we can write a brave new ending. By owning your story, you take control of your narrative. turning the page on what was and stepping boldly into what can be. Daring to be brave is at the heart of starting a new life. It's about stepping into the unknown, facing fears, and moving forward despite uncertainty. Brené Brown reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act even when fear is present. Being brave requires vulnerability, the willingness to show up, be seen, and take risks without guarantees of success. It's not an easy path, but it's the one that leads to authenticity, growth, and a life aligned with your true self. When you dare to be brave, you acknowledge that fear is a natural part of life, especially when embarking on something new. Whether you're starting a new career, pursuing a long-held dream, or rebuilding relationships, fear will often whisper that you're not ready, not good enough, or that failure is inevitable. Bravery doesn't mean silencing these doubts, it means choosing to move forward despite them. It's recognizing that growth only happens outside your comfort zone and that the discomfort of facing fear is a necessary part of transformation. Bravery often begins with small steps. Sometimes the most courageous act is simply deciding to try. This could mean making a phone call, signing up for a class, or saying yes to an opportunity that feels both exciting and terrifying. These small acts of courage build momentum and confidence, creating a ripple effect that helps you tackle larger challenges. Over time, what once felt impossible starts to feel within reach. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection, and to celebrate every brave step you take. A vital part of being brave is embracing vulnerability. It takes courage to admit when you don't have all the answers, to ask for help, or to put your true self out into the world. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but in reality, it's the birthplace of connection, creativity, and resilience. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you open the door to meaningful relationships and opportunities. You also show others that it's okay to be imperfect, which fosters trust and authenticity. Bravery also involves taking ownership of your decisions. Starting a new life often requires making difficult choices, leaving behind what's familiar, setting boundaries, or pursuing a path that others might not understand. These decisions can be daunting, but they're a necessary part of creating a life that reflects your values and aspirations. Owning your choices means accepting both the risks and rewards, knowing that even if things don't go as planned, you have the strength to learn and adapt. Facing failure is another integral part of being brave. The fear of failure can be paralyzing, but it's important to remember that failure is not the opposite of success, it's a stepping stone toward it. Every setback offers a lesson, a chance to grow and refine your approach. Bravery means reframing failure as feedback, viewing it as a natural part of the learning process rather than a reflection of your worth. It's about being willing to try again, even after things didn't work out the first time. To dare to be brave also means letting go of the need for external validation. Courage requires you to trust yourself and your instincts, even when others doubt you or when your path doesn't align with societal expectations. This can be one of the hardest aspects of bravery, to stand firm in your truth without seeking approval or permission. It's a powerful act of self-respect and empowerment, one that allows you to live authentically and unapologetically. Bravery is contagious. When you dare to be brave, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage shows others what's possible, creating a ripple effect that encourages them to take their own risks and pursue their dreams. This shared bravery builds connection and fosters a sense of community, reminding everyone that they're not alone in their challenges or aspirations. Being brave doesn't mean eliminating fear, it means having a bigger commitment to your goals, values, and dreams than to your doubts. It's about showing up fully, even when you feel uncertain, and giving yourself permission to take imperfect action. Bravery is not a one-time event, but a daily practice, a choice to live with intention, integrity, and an open heart. As you dare to be brave, remind yourself that courage doesn't require extraordinary circumstances. It's found in the everyday acts of showing up, being honest, and taking steps toward your aspirations. It's in speaking your truth, pursuing what matters to you, and staying resilient in the face of challenges. Bravery, as Brené Brown teaches, is about being in the arena, dusty, messy, and vulnerable, but fully alive and engaged in your life. Starting a new life takes tremendous courage, but every act of bravery brings you closer to the life you envision. It's a journey of self-discovery, growth, and resilience, a path that demands vulnerability but offers immense rewards. By daring to be brave, you claim your power, create opportunities, and build a life that reflects your deepest values and desires.